I'm back. I lost the signal, so now I'm going to continue. Briefly, this is the Institute of All Intelligent Life, and my name is Alan Kiesler, and I'm continuing the live chat that I had just started about extraterrestrial spirituality. Specifically, I told the story of my third meeting with an extraterrestrial, and then I began reading passages from Michael Salla's book, Exposing U.S. Government Policies on Extraterrestrial Life. This is the book by Michael Salla, PhD, which I'm reading from and sharing information about. And it talks about extraterrestrial entities and technology, recovery and disposal, which the American government had done. And American government officials met with extraterrestrials beginning on, maybe not beginning, but as far as Michael Salla knew when he wrote this book, I guess, beginning on February 20th, 1954, when President Eisenhower met with some extraterrestrials at Edwards Air Force Base, then called Muroc Air Force Base. So we read a passage about, excuse me, I keep getting the signal cut off briefly. So he talked about the meeting in 1954 that Eisenhower had with the extraterrestrials, and how they even were sort of obliged to come to an official agreement. And then we also quoted an account about the Roman Catholic Bishop of Los Angeles, who was present there at the meeting with Eisenhower, who then went to Rome and met Pope Pius XII and told him what had happened, and the Pope decided to start a very secret organization called SIV, or Servizio Informazione del Vaticano, which was created in order to try to get every possible information about aliens and how they interacted with the American government. And then we also read about how the Navy Commander Charles Suggs was also present in that meeting, and his son told the story, and I was just reading the account that had come from his son about how there were two white-haired Nordics, or Scandinavian-looking extraterrestrials that had pale blue eyes and colorless lips, and they stood a certain distance away from President Eisenhower, and had not gotten quite to this point. I was just saying how there were B-58 Hustlers, that is an American aircraft, on the field, even though officially the government, the military, did not admit they existed until 1956. But they were there on that airfield also. And these visitors said that they came from another solar system. And they posed detailed questions about our nuclear testing. The reason why the Nordics had come to America and met the president, because they were concerned about the nuclear testing that the American government was doing, and that's why they had approached the United States government officials actually to try to get them to stop the nuclear testing, which although maybe Eisenhower himself would have been willing to, but his military advisors told him no, we should not agree to this. So anyway, that's not written right here in this book. I'm just going to read a few more sources of information about this meeting of Eisenhower. Another one was a former U.S. Air Force test pilot and colonel who chose to remain anonymous. That is, he did not want his name known, but he did reveal his experiences to Lord Clancarty. The pilot says he was one of 6 people at the meeting. 5 alien craft landed at the base, 2 were cigar-shaped, and 3 were saucer-shaped. I'm sorry, this keeps getting cut off. I'll reread. The aliens spoke English and supposedly informed the president that they wanted to start an educational program for the people of Earth. So that was another source of information about this meeting. And still another one was a military witness who also wanted to remain anonymous, but he was also a U.S. Air Force officer, and he spoke to a former Royal Air Force pilot named Desmond Leslie telling him that a flying saucer had landed at Edwards Air Force Base, and that President Eisenhower was taken to it. And this U.S. Air Force officer told that this disk, estimated to be 100 feet in diameter, had landed on the runway on a certain day. Men returning from leave were suddenly not allowed back on the base. The disk was allegedly housed under guard in Hangar 27, and Eisenhower was taken to see it. So here is another source of information. Then there are other eyewitnesses too present at that meeting, and they are all discussed in a book called Need to Know by British researcher Timothy Good. So I'm not going to go into more details right now. I guess I'll just read one last quote, which was came from William Cooper, who was a member of the U.S. Naval, has also provided documentation of his military service. He was honorably discharged in December 1975, and he gave a public lecture revealing the contents of the documents he had witnessed. That 3 UFOs flew over the base and then landed. President Eisenhower met with the aliens on February 20th, 1954. So there are slightly different accounts. Some say there were 3, some say there were 5, some only mention 1 flying saucer or different types of extraterrestrial craft. But there seems to be many different sources that William Cooper. I'm sorry, the signal keeps getting cut off. So William Cooper has gathered a number of eyewitness testimonies, and Michael Salla has put together them with some others. And so what Michael Salla concludes is that we can be confident that President Eisenhower did meet some extraterrestrial visitors, had negotiations with them, and we are going to discuss that next week, what those negotiations were, what agreements the American government came to with extraterrestrials. But there are plenty of witnesses to that meeting. There were 5 or 6 people, Americans, present, including the Roman Catholic Bishop of Los Angeles, President Eisenhower himself, and a number of military officials. All right, I'm going to go to comments now. I'm sorry I can't go back to the questions or comments on the first part of this video, which got lost. I got cut off. But I will see whatever questions we have here. Asima Khadim says, Assalamu alaikum. You met 3 times with ETs. The very same ET every time or different? How they look like? She was the same one. The first time when I was 9 years old, the next time I was about 45, and the last time when I was 51. She looked very much like a human being. It appeared that her ears were on the top of her head. That's the main difference that was obvious about her. Otherwise, she looked just like a human being. And she was the same one each of those 3 times. But the third time, of course, even the first 2 times, there were other people on the spacecraft that she was on. But I only talked with her that I can remember. And the third time, there were many different extraterrestrials from different species who were present in that meeting. And some of them looked quite different than human beings. Many of them looked very much like human beings. Okay, Faisal Shafiq says, is that true that ETs developed the technology to travel faster than the speed of light? Yes. It is. If it is true, then did they provided this technology to U.S.? Yes. The United States military has had the ability to travel faster than the speed of light for many decades. I don't know since when it was, but at least by the 1970s, I know. And I think Germany also had faster than light travel abilities, even before the United States. Even though most scientists, even today, say it's impossible to travel faster than the speed of light, they don't know that it is not only possible, that human beings have that technology to travel faster than the speed of light. Munir Iqbal, Assalamu alaikum, sir. After a long reticence, I saw you on Facebook. Very nice to see you now then. Let's go on. Faisal Shafiq says, as some peoples discovered pyramids of Egypt developed by the ETs for the purpose of power generation from the light of sun. I have read, which I think are pretty reliable sources, that the pyramids of Egypt were developed by extraterrestrials. I'm not sure exactly. I don't think the purpose was power generation from the light of the sun. Maybe it was. I really don't know the purpose of those pyramids, but they may have had more than one purpose. But it definitely was some higher technology than we are aware of, than modern scientists are aware of, that is. H.M. Raza Yusuf says, Almighty, on this blessed day, grant us good patience in hard times. Let us learn to be grateful by recognizing that our trials could be much worse. Let us trust your plan, Allah's plan, and have complete reliance on you. Help us to remain close to you during both good and bad times. Ameen. Thank you very much, Raza Yusuf Sahib. That's a very wonderful prayer. It is very true. I agree with you 100%. Let us remain close to the guidance and love of Allah, of God, because we are passing through a very, very difficult time right now. Humanity as a whole and everybody. Very, very critical time, difficult time, but a time full of opportunity as we are learning a lot more. Things that have been suppressed and concealed are now coming to light. So this is a very wonderful time that we're living in, difficult time, no doubt. Faisal Shafiq, can I got the books in Pakistan? It is not available here and difficult to buy, outline them in Pakistan. Can you will bring some books with you in Pakistan so that I can buy it? I don't know how many books I'll be able to read, but you can purchase these books. They are available, maybe not available in Pakistan, but you can purchase them by the internet. Just look up Michael Salla. He has written a number of very excellent books about extraterrestrials. Zain Khan asks, why time is traveling too fast nowadays? Any scientific reason? I really don't know the answer to that question, but it may be true that time is not fixed like we imagine it to be. Science thinks that time is the same all the time, but time may move by more quickly or more slowly. Even things like so-called gravitational constant and different things that we think of constant, they may be variable at different times and in different places. So it's quite possible that time not only seems to us, but really is traveling faster. We really don't understand very much about time. At least I don't, but certainly there are things that we imagine are steady and constant that they may not be. Asime Khadem asks, once it was impossible to think that we will fly in sky, so now we do. With the passage of time, humans will discover the vast opportunities and worlds waiting to be unfolded by them. Thank you very much. That's a very good comment. Very good point that, just 150 years ago, certainly, only, 110, 15 years ago that human beings first, in the modern age, learned how to fly in the sky. So now, before that, it was hard for human beings to imagine that it was possible. So in the same way, it may be impossible for us to imagine that we could be traveling to other planets and other stars even, but actually we are, and we have been doing it for some decades. But it's all been kept very, very top secret. Okay, I think that's enough. I'm going to go back and try to answer as many of the questions as I can from the previous video that got cut off, because I'm sure there were a lot of good questions there too. And thank you all very, very much for your comments. And after, again cut off, after Dr. Salla's book, we can go through a little quickly. about extraterrestrials' meetings with American government officials, the agreements they came to, and the policies that the United States government developed. All right. Peace be with you. May God protect us all. Look forward to meeting you 8 a.m. California time, 8 p.m. Pakistan time, a week from today, next Sunday. Thank you very much. Be happy.